Dokkan Battle has never been a stranger to doing crossover collaboration celebrations like we have seen in the past with Super Dragon Ball Heroes. They have even went as far as to do another one with anime, that being One Piece. So I figured with the first core or part of Bleach ending back on the 26th of December, what would be a better time than now to take a look at what if the Bleach 1000-Year Blood War anime and Dokkan did a collaboration celebration. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the 5-9 mobile channel. My name is Vilify, and today I'm going to be walking you through a custom collaboration that I did for the Bleach anime. You guys were probably familiar with the video that Tystra did on this channel about Genshin Impact, but I went ahead and went for a very good series that I am quite fond of, that being Bleach, and took it upon myself to do a crossover celebration. So just to kind of get things started, we are going to suspend disbelief and go with the notion that this would be kind of like a best case scenario and would not be a case where we get like a couple free-to-play units. This is going to be just like how they do Heroes, where we have new summonable units, we have events, we have content, we have fun stuff to do. This is just for the fun of things. We are going to look at it in a very good case scenario where there's a lot of things to do. So, you know, no need to say, oh, they would never do this. This is too much. It is just for fun. So let's go ahead and get into the good stuff. So the first thing coming up, we have the banner. Now, the format that I decided to go with was a blue coin banner with guaranteed featured units. Maybe they would have to throw in some crossover units from other crossover celebrations, i.e. Heroes, on this banner to make sure that it is not a guaranteed featured of the 5 that I have listed for you in the Bleach anime. And those are as follows. We have, first off, we have the GOAT, the main character, Mr. Ichigo Kurosaki. And then we have, following that up, probably the most popular female in the series, that being Rukia Kuchiki. We have Sosuke Aizen, the most popular antagonist. And then we have some other, another Shinigami named Renji. I always mess this up, but Abarai. And then we have the main Quincy King, or the main antagonist of the 1000-Year Blood War anime, and that being Yhwach, the king of the Quincy. Basically just another affiliation that they fought 1,000 years ago and stuff like that. That is kind of hence the title of it, right? That is just to go in a very, very brief kind of summary of who he is, right? But all you really need to know in this case is that he is the big bad boss, no pun intended, of the 1000-Year Blood War anime. So that's kind of what you need to know going into this, right? So let's go ahead and get into the kits that we came up with for the summonable units. And we're obviously going to be starting off with the headliner, that being Ichigo. This was kind of tricky to do. Coming up with categories for all these units was something that I didn't really take too much time to look at. But what we're going to be looking at more of is the basis of how these units would look at like a core skeleton, right? We're looking at the leader skills, we're looking at super attack effects, and then we're looking at a passive. As categories and links are just so tricky to kind of put together and make them make sense, especially in the context of Bleach and Dokkan. They don't really add up, right? Like, obviously Ichigo is not getting Saiyan Roar or Saiyan, you know what I mean? Like, and stuff like that. So you kind of have to work with what we got. So for his leader skill, I went ahead and gave him Entrusted Will and Connected Hope, and then 170 to stats. If you guys know about anything about Ichigo, he likes to kind of take the hope of others and the protection of others, and really has a lot on his shoulders in terms of like a couple of the arcs within the anime are rescuing certain protagonists, or in the case of the 1000-Year Blood War, really all he's trying to do is exercise past demons that he didn't even know about, while also protecting the Soul Society, because protecting is kind of his whole character, right? So Entrusted Will and Connected Hope I felt were very good, categories for him to lead, excluding like crossover and stuff like that. And this is just kind of a real basis level here. Like I said, we're working with Dokkan and Bleach here, so it's hard to kind of combine the two, and I'm trying to work with what we got, like I said. So for his super attack effects, we have a very basic kind of bare bones skeleton. We have greatly raises attack and defense, and then lowers enemy attack. He would be a stacking unit. And then for his passive, we have guards against all attacks when there is a crossover ally. So you'd be running him with other Bleach units anyway, and this will not be a problem. We have attack and defense 170% at the start of turn, and then he becomes a mega monster. But this is very hard to get, as attack plus 300% when HP is 15% or below. So think about how we'd have all that greatly raising attack and defense stacking a la Tech Gohan, also with the attack plus 300% when HP is 15%. So obviously it's going to be really hard to get to 15% or below, but if you do find yourself in that situation with an Ichigo on rotation, he is going to protect you, for, the corniness aside. So, we have that going for him. So he's just going to be a beast if you get below that 15%, because he is on his last ditch effort. You know, he's just trying to protect everybody and do these massive attack stats that we would put out, right? With also the defense and the guard still. So we would also have a medium chance to stun all enemies when facing multiple enemies. This reminds me of the physical cumber effect that you guys have seen on that unit, and then activates an entrance animation when there is an extreme class enemy. So fighting a big bad boss, that would get him this intro animation where what you see at the very first scene of him in the anime, where it's just like he shows up to be like, all right, I got you. It's just like a little lackey's on the ground or whatever, and he's like, all right, I'll protect you or whatever, and then does his thing, right? So that would kind of be the entrance animation for him. So this is Ichigo. I think he would be the best unit of the bunch, but it could be argued that some of these units might be a little bit more cracked. I'm not the best at designing Dokkan kits, but I gave it a shot, right? So let's go ahead and move on to Rukia, the main female of Bleach, some would say. Her leader skill is Connected Hope 130. All of these units are not the premier units, so we're going to give them 130% leader skills for most of them going forward, except for the last two. So she is Connected Hope 130, and then her super attack effect is raises defense, lowers enemy attack and defense, and has a high chance to stun. And then as her passive, she would be a crossover support, giving key 3 attack and defense plus 40%. You guys have to remember that these are not Dokkan Fest or anything like that, so their stats would be a little bit lower. So this attack and defense plus 40% for support would not be a huge deal. High chance to evade enemy attack, including super attack. She would have, that decent chance to dodge there. Not quite the highest like UI Goku, but, a decent chance to do it, right? And then a chance to perform a critical hit increased by 15% up to 60% per turn. So after 4 appearances, she'd have 60% chance to crit. And then she gets attack and defense plus 150% at the start of turn. I would like to think of her as kind of like a risk-reward slot 1 unit with support, or just a floater where she won't get hit as a floater with other slot 1 or slot, as like in slot 3, where she's just going to dodge because she doesn't lose that, and then she also has a high chance to stun with lower attack and the attack and defense of the enemy trying to attack her, and it would kind of just work out nicely, right? So let's go ahead and move on to the next super class unit, and that would be Mr. Renji, and he is crossover 130. His super attack is raises attack and defense. It has a seals the enemy super attack. And for his passive, we have attack and defense plus 150% at the start of turn, similar to what Rukia has. And then he has a guaranteed chance to perform a critical hit when there is an ally named Rukia on the team. Without going into spoiler territory, Rukia and Renji do have a close bond. From like the beginning of the series, it's kind of established that they met each other when they were kids, and then they grow up and kind of have like a sort of relationship in a way that changes over time. And when Rukia is around, I think it does kind of make Renji do a little bit more, right? So the idea was to just give him something that gets a buff with Rukia around. And then he reduces damage received by 55% when there are 3 or more crossover category allies on the team. So if you are running these units on the Bleach category, not Bleach category, but like the crossover setup itself, if you have the Bleach units all in one team, he would be getting that 55% damage reduction as is. And then he would receive a damage by an extra 5% received. So he'd get extra 5% damage reduction per attack received, up to 25%. So we'd be looking at 80% damage reduction fully built up, and 3 or more crossover allies on the team, and then attack and defense plus 150% at the start of turn. So that would be Renji. I would see him more of as a kind of a slot 1 unit that has a lot of damage but can also perform guaranteed crits to kind of make up for the fact that he doesn't have any crazy attack and defense stuff. So I guess I would say that when he raises attack and defense, it would be for 1 turn. So he doesn't get to stack or anything like that, but he does get to keep his damage reduction, so it kind of works out, right? Like I could imagine this being like a Tech Ultimate Gohan situation with damage reduction, no guard. So that isn't how I wanted him to turn out, but that's kind of like, now I'm reading it, that might be how it turns out. So it would be for 1 turn. So let's go ahead and move on to the most popular antagonist throughout Bleach, and that would be Sosuke Aizen. I decided to go with a bit of the best way that I could to do a sense manipulation kit for this guy, right? Battle of Wits would be his leader skill, because if you guys remember the OG translations that we had on that night, where we kind of got the kits for these guys for Vegito and Buhan, not Buhan, but just Vegito, we were calling it like psychological warfare or something like that, and that is like the perfect description for what Aizen is. Aizen is a master of manipulation, and he has an ability to manipulate all 5 of your senses. He could have you thinking that you're fighting Goku when the whole time you're just fighting Krillin. And, you would have him think you're seeing things differently, hearing things differently, doubting yourself, all of this. And he is just really good at provoking. And that is kind of Aizen's game, right? Like, make the opponent mad while messing with them at the same time, and in reality there's nothing he can do. And to get into, we're not going to get into any major spoilers for the upcoming anime, but the older series is a little bit older. He does fuse with something that makes him become kind of immortal in a way. So we obviously can't make a unit immortal in Dokkan, but that's not really going to play much of a factor. But mental warfare, psychological warfare, that's exactly what I went for with this kit. So super attack effect. He raises his attack and defense for 1 turn. He lowers enemy attack and defense. He seals the enemy super attack, and he stuns the enemy. So think about like Rakumen Goldo, right? He's doing everything to mess with the enemy. Passive, he gets attack and defense at 150% at the start of turn. He has a great chance to evade all enemy attacks. So AGLUI Goku defensive chance, or dodge chance rather. He gets defense plus 11 per attack received up to 55%. And then, or attack evaded up to 55%. So his defense fully built up will be after doing all of his dodging. And then he has a guaranteed critical hit when the enemy is in status down effect. So if the enemy is sealed, if the enemy is stunned, which the other 2 units, Rukia and Renji, can do, and also Ichigo can because he can lower enemy attack, this guy is going to become much harder of a hitter because they have already been psychologically messed up, i.e. getting sealed, getting stunned. Maybe I could do like an attack break because it would say like enemy unable to attack due to fear, like it says on global. That could work in theory, but this is kind of what I went with for Aizen, a sense manipulation kit for him. So finishing things off, we have Yhwach, the king of the Quincy. His leader skill will be Terrifying Conquerors as he goes from kind of like world to world, so to speak, and just goes and tries to make it his. And in the case of the Soul Society, the kind of main hub for Bleach, aside from the world of the living, he goes and just tries to destroy it, right? So Terrifying Conquerors, I think, is a perfect leader skill for him. And that's 150 to stats. So his super attack effect, this guy is going to be kind of like a numbers guy. He massively raises attack and defense for 1 turn and lowers enemy defense. And then for his passive, he has attack plus 250% when facing multiple enemies, as he's trying to conquer like a Soul Society, like I said, or another area where there's a lot of people. He would have an additional attack to go ahead and take care of it quicker. He nullifies blast-based supers just to kind of give him some defensive gimmick, and then he reduces damage received by 30% after he nullifies a super attack. So any supers, any normals after that, you're good, right? So if he gets super by 1 enemy, he gets that damage received. So this guy I could see being really useful in content like Super Battle Road, or in this case of the Red Ribbon Red Zone against like the final phases of the Gammas, he'd be really good. Because like say Gamma 1 supers, he nullifies it, and then, or Gamma 2 is more of a blast, right? He nullifies Gamma 2 super attack and then hops in and just has damage received for like whatever Gamma 1 super attack would be, right? And which, just to kind of give a troll a bit here at the end, attack and defense plus 180% after delivering the finishing blow, because, you know, when Yhwach gets a kill or whatever, it doesn't really, you know, without getting into spoiler territory, right? It's like, as considering he's like the main antagonist of the arc, I figured like a finishing blow mechanic would kind of fit his character a bit. So I figured I would throw that in there, and then in addition, he would get the attack and defense plus 170% at the start of the turn. So that was the kits for the Bleach units. I kind of went a little bit more in detail than I thought I would when I made these, but I kind of wanted them to make sense as much as I could. Again, there's not a lot to work with in terms of going cross anime, cross gacha, stuff like that. Like, so yeah, try making kits for Bleach characters in a Dragon Ball gacha game. It's just really tricky, right? So I think I did my best effort. Let me know what you guys think of the units down below. Are they too busted? Do they suck? Just let me know, because, you know, I don't really have the most experience with unit design, but I thought it was fun. So guaranteed feature format for those, by the way. So good chance you do pull a lot of them if you were to throw a lot of stones at it, which I would, by the way. Summoning for an Ichigo and Dokkan is like a huge pipe dream, right? That would be so fun. But let's go ahead and get into the content that came with this specific celebration. And you know, nothing that's going to jump off the page here with stuff. I think you would be like, okay, that's about as expected. But we have a basic story event going through like a kind of like the beginning of the first part, right, of the 1,000-Year Blood War. They call it Core 1, and there's 4 of them total. So we're going to be running Bleach anime till 2025. It kind of sucks that we're in a big break right now for about 6-7 months, but it is what it is. We'll get back to the peak soon. But the story event would have hollow bosses, kind of like the basic fodder enemies that you would they fight throughout the Bleach series. Nothing that any basic Shinigami or Soul Reaper couldn't handle. But what you would get in these is soul candy dispensers. You would know what that is if you kind of watch the series. It would be similar to what you would have with the superhero collab. You would see like those the plushies or whatever those things were that you could get, the Penko things. You would get those and you would farm those up and exchange them in the Baba shop for whatever materials that you would choose, i.e. keys, meat, etc. And then for the Easy A raid, this will not be a 999 stage, so don't worry about the PTSD from the 7-year anniversary. We would have a Yhwach Bleach final boss raid, and this would be rewards up to stage 100 being like sleeping Kais, regular Elder Kais, potential orbs, Zenny, training items, stuff like that, right? And then to wrap it all up, we would have, similar to what we did for like the Heroes Red Zone, we would have like a challenge event where you fight the summonable characters. So we'd have like maybe it's not going to be called like a Red Zone stage, but we'll just call it Red Zone for the sake of discussion. It'd be like Red Zone versus Aizen, Red Zone versus Ichigo, and then stuff like that. So like for the Ichigo stage, Aizen and Yhwach would be what's it called? Why can't I think of the word? Boosted, right? And then for like the Aizen and Yhwach stages, Ichigo, Rukia, and Renji would be boosted. So that's all I got for you in this one. That would be kind of a good Bleach collab in the best case scenario, in my opinion. Maybe you guys aren't a fan of having like a summonable Renji and you'd want someone like Toshiro or Byakuya or Kenpachi, you know, something like that, right? I know there's a lot. Yoruichi is a popular female as well, but I just think of like the face of like the females in Bleach. Maybe if we go along from just the attractiveness scale, I do think that Rukia, just with her relevance in the plot, would say is like the main female of the series, right? But let me know down below what you guys think of this Bleach collab. Don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, and subscribe to the 5-9 Mobile channel so you don't miss out on future crossover category videos like this. If you guys want to see a specific anime, leave it in the comment section below and we'll try to do it. But thank you guys for watching. My name has been Vilify, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.